Hi y'all, welcome back to this video about John Stuart Mill and the principle of utility. John Stuart Mill, who lived from 1806 to 1873, expanded upon Jeremy Bentham's utilitarianism by emphasizing quality over quantity in human happiness. His version of utilitarianism preserves the focus on outcomes, but it introduces a moral hierarchy of pleasures that are grounded in intellect, empathy, and human dignity. So this hierarchy of pleasures included higher and lower pleasures. Mill, who was Bentham's godson and his student, built upon Bentham's greatest happiness principle, but he refined it to account for the quality of human experiences. Mill believed that humans are capable of higher faculties, intellectual, moral, and emotional faculties, and those should weigh more heavily in moral decisions. He said, pleasure and freedom from pain are the only things desirable as ends. Educated by his father, James Mill, and mentored by Jeremy Bentham, who was his father's best friend, Mill had an intense early education. He learned Greek at the age of 3 and Latin at the age of 8. He was brilliant, but he suffered a breakdown when he was 20 years old due to his extreme emotional exhaustion and the extreme study that he was under. So his later philosophy reflects a desire for balance, valuing both rationality and emotional well-being as vital to human happiness. He actually recovered from that breakdown by studying poetry and philosophy so that he could restore that emotional balance. John Stuart Mill's wife was a woman named Harriet Taylor. They were lifelong intellectual partners, and Harriet influenced John Stuart Mill's ideas on equality and moral sentiment. He credited her as his intellectual equal and co-author in spirit. Their shared commitment to justice and moral progress shaped Mill's defense of women's rights in their book on the subjugation of women, and the link between happiness and equality and On Liberty. About his wife, Mill said, she was the inspirer and part author of all that is best in my writings. Mill's famous quote, actions are right in proportion as they tend to promote happiness, is an expression of his principle of utility. The principle of utility measures morality by consequences for overall well-being. Mill agreed with Bentham that happiness is the ultimate end, but as we will see in just a moment, he argued that moral maturity requires us to cultivate higher pleasure. Mill's greatest innovation was distinguishing between what he called higher and lower pleasures. Higher pleasures are those intellectual, moral, and aesthetic pleasures that he said are superior to bodily pleasures. According to Mill, human beings, as rational and empathetic creatures, should pursue the kinds of happiness that elevate our nature. He thought that human dignity depends on us developing these higher faculties, and one of his most famous quotes is, "It's better to be a human being dissatisfied than a pig satisfied." In his book, The Fundamentals of Ethics, Russ Schaefer Landau gives us a 5-step process for us to apply Mill's principle of utility. So remember, this 5-step process was not created by Mill. It's one that was created by Russ Schaefer Landau so that we can apply Mill's principle of utility in a systematic way. And I think it's really useful. And if you're in my class, you'll be doing this for one of your papers. So, applying Mill's principle of utility. Here are our steps in this process. First, we have to identify what's intrinsically good in the situation at hand. So, happiness, well-being, pleasure, that sort of thing. Next, we have to identify in the situation what's intrinsically bad, like pain and suffering. Then we need to look at all of our possible actions that we can take in this specific situation. And we need to list all of our possible actions. And we need to weigh each action's likely results. What are the potential good results? What are the potential bad results? And we have to do that for each potential action that we have in front of us. Then the last step is we have to choose the action or choose the option that maximizes good outcomes for all. So we have to choose the action that will result in the best balance of good over bad results. So, looking at Mill's broader philosophy, we see that Mill connected moral philosophy with politics and education. He argued that liberty and individuality foster creativity and social improvement, forming the foundation of a happy and just society. So, in advocating for liberty, individuality, and social progress, he also advocated for free expression, which he said enriches our society. He also thought that happiness requires autonomy and moral growth. So when Mill is looking at this idea of moral growth and moral progress, he's looking at the individual and society. So Mill's legacy is that his moral philosophy continues to shape discussions of ethics, liberty, and justice. He invites us to seek happiness not in self-interest alone, but in the flourishing of human dignity and understanding, not just for ourselves, but for society as well. Mill was our bridge between the Enlightenment reason and modern humanism periods. He inspired modern liberal democracy and human rights, and the principle of utility remains a key ethical framework today. Before we close, a few reflection questions for you. How does Mill's view of pleasure redefine happiness? Can utilitarianism respect individual rights? And what does moral progress mean in Mill's philosophy? All right, y'all, thanks for watching. If you're interested in more videos about consequentialism, ethics, and philosophy, take a look at the videos posted on our channel. Y'all have a great day.